Welcome to the second tutorial for TSpower. This is an advanced tutorial, and in this tutorial we will look at subsets of a variable, especially subsetting the variable by region. So I'm going to type in a search term, pay rate. After I do that, the variable for wage in Thailand from the dataset Community Development Survey comes up, and I can pick a date for which the variable is available for. Now let's first use single map. So if I did that, and now I click on graph single map, it will just make a map for me for this one variable. But now my question is, how differentiated are the regions really are if I look at them separately? So what does this question even mean? Well, you will see in a second. So let's choose a different tool. Now I'm going to choose adjacent map same quantile. And here you see that there are 4 slots, and this button is not clickable because only one slot is filled. So if you only have one slot, you should use one map. If you have select multiple variables, then this button could work now, because the point of this tool is to lay multiple maps next to each other. Now what I can do actually is click on the word summary, and you will see that there is the basic summary statistics for the variable, but also a button called by province and the other button called by region. If I click on by region, what it's doing is it's looking at the regional identifier for all the pay rate, the wage observations that we have, and seeing what's the average, what's the standard deviation, and the number of observations for each of those regions for the variable pay rate. Now you see this button map for Q10-3 subgroups. So what are the subgroups? Well, the subgroups are those things on top. So what will be mapped? Well, the things that you select will be mapped. If I select 2 things and now click on map for the subgroups, what this will do is produce 2 new variables basically, and painting them next to each other. The first variable is subsetting just for the south part of Thailand based on this variable wage rate. This new second variable here is just for the central area of Thailand. Now, if I click on 4 things and click that, it will go on and produce for me 4 separate maps. So what's the point of this? Well, in the previous map we were creating a legend, creating colors based on all the observations, all the data we had from Thailand. But this tool that we chose is first creating a legend, a set of colors for the first map that we have here, and then keeping the same scales and looking at each of the other 3 new variables from the same scale. So what this map is telling you is, if you're in the Northeast, everyone in the Northeast has a pay rate that's only in the lowest quantile of the wage pay rate for the south of Thailand. And this map actually looks very different than the first map we did, because here you can see that the Northeast looks a lot brighter because we're using all the observations to create the color. So this map is really showing you how differentiated wage values are across regions. Now, if I chose a different tool, say different quantiles instead of same quantiles, and go back to here, click on this button again. This time, instead of trying to use the same scale for the 3, 2, and 4 maps as the first map, it now uses the different scale for each one of them. And what this tells you is not the differentiation between regions, but inside a region. So you can see whether there's concentration of high wage rate in certain parts of Northeast or not. Now, instead of the map tools, we can also use some of the simple graphs tools along with the subgroup functions. If I click on box and whisker, click on this button. Now it will create, hopefully, 4 box and whisker plots for me. The first box and whisker plot is for the south of Thailand, not central, not northeast, and finally northern. And you can see the interquartile range. The red line is the average, the pink span is the standard deviation, and the gray lines are the observations. The dots are the outliers. So going back up, we can also use the histogram tool to look at this. And the funny thing about the histogram is that it will only paint 3 histograms at maximum. So the 4th selection we made, just the north, is not showing up. Besides that, we can also use the summary tool. See if I click on variable summary statistics and click here again. It will just produce the basic summaries, minimum, maximum, average, standard deviation for each of the region's subgroups that I created. Instead of subgrouping things by region, you can also subgroup things by province. Everything that functions for region would work the same way as province. The difference there would be there's usually less observations per province, so the graphs you get, the stuff you get might be less pretty or less easier to interpret. So thank you very much. That's the first advanced tutorial for TSpower.